The judges have put on hold Anthropic's $1.5 billion piracy settlement. So we covered this it's the end of last week. So last week was a roller coaster for Anthropic, where at the beginning of the week they raised, I think it was $13 billion, and it raised their valuation to $183 billion, which made them bigger than Nike, it made them bigger than Disney, it made them into a giant company. By the end of the week, though, they'd just agreed to basically pay out 10% of that new investment. They agreed to pay $1.5 billion because of this piracy settlement. However, that has now looks like it's on hold. So a federal judge has raised concerns about the term of the settlements, which would give authors around $3,000 for each book Anthropic is accused of stealing. So this did not go to court. Anthropic settled it, and they said, okay, we will pay $3,000 per book, per author. Per book or per book? And apparently there were 50,000 books. 500,000. God, these billions and millions trip me up. There is a potential that there are not actually 500,000 books, but 7 million books. If that is the case, then this is going to be the mother of all payouts, and Anthropic are dead in the water. I don't think that will be the case. It looks like it's settling on this $1.5 billion figure, but it looks like it's on hold. So Anthropic's $1.5 billion book piracy settlement has been put on pause after the federal judge overseeing the class action case raised concerns about the terms of the agreement. During a hearing this week, Judge William Alsup rejected the settlement over concerns that class action lawyers will create a deal behind closed doors that will force down the throats of authors. Okay. Anthropic agreed to pay, so he's protecting the authors. This was something I actually raised last week when we first talked about it, because somebody said, oh, that's nice, the authors are going to get a payday of $3,000 each. And I was like, no, the people getting paid here are the lawyers. By the time it gets to authors, they're going to be getting a few $100s. This money is going to go through the lawyers, it's going to go through the publishing companies, that somebody's going to be paid to disperse all of this money, because paying out 500,000 checks of $3,000, that's, from an operational overhead point of view, that's complex. So somebody's going to be paid to do all of that. The people getting money here are going to be the lawyers. So Anthropic agreed to pay the landmark settlement last week, putting to rest a class action lawsuit from US authors that accuse the AI company of training its models on hundreds of thousands of copyrighted books. Judge Alsup let the class action lawsuit move forward after ruling that Anthropic training its models on purchased books counts as fair use. But it could be liable for training on illegally downloaded work. Okay, this makes sense, because we had a judgment a couple of months ago basically saying that training on books is fair use, but the distinction being made here is if you buy the books, that's fair use. If you pirate the books, then it is not. Which makes sense, because it's illegal to pirate books. And presumably they pirated these all from Anna's archive, which I'm not going to pull it up on screen because I'll probably get in trouble, but has basically all the published books available. It's the Pirate Bay for books and published material. In addition to his concerns over authors being strong-armed into signing a deal. Okay, so this is interesting. The judge is trying to protect the authors here. So I think he thinks that the class action lawyers will create a deal behind closed doors. So he thinks that the lawyers are up to something. Good man, Judge Alsup. Alsup says he needs to review more information about the claims process outlined in the settlement. I have an uneasy feeling about hangers-on with all this money on the table, Alsup said. Man, I love this guy. Under the settlement, authors and publishers would receive about $3,000 for covered works. As noted by AP, the Associated Press, an attorney for the authors said there would be about 465,000 books that would be covered by the settlement, but Judge Alsup asked for a solid number to ensure Anthropic doesn't get hit with other lawsuits coming out of the woodwork. That's fair. So in the settlement at the moment, it is $3,000 per book, but they haven't submitted a final list. So they said, we think it's about this amount, but we're going to continue to submit the works that we think fall under this, which could leave it open, and it would become a kind of almost a full-time industry to find books in the training data of Claude and somehow prove that, and then get paid $3,000 for each. I could imagine that becoming a cottage industry. He added that class members will need to be given very good notice to make sure they're aware of the case. Maria Palante, CEO of the Association of American Publishers, an industry group backing the author's lawsuit, told AP that Allsup demonstrated a lack of understanding of how the publishing industry works. Palante said that class actions are supposed to resolve cases, not create new disputes, and certainly not between the class members who are harmed in the first place. Fair. The author's attorney, Justin Nelson, said in a statement to Bloomberg Law that the lawyers care deeply that every single proper claim gets compensation. Of course you do, Justin, because you get paid for each one that goes through. Judge Allsop will revisit the settlement during another hearing on September the 25th. We'll see if I can hold my nose and approve it, Allsop said, according to the AP. Okay, you are my favourite judge now. Very cool. So interesting to see that unravelling. I agree that if this is going to go ahead, then we want to make sure that the authors actually get paid out rather than all of this money just ending up in the class action lawsuit lawyers' pockets, or even with the publishers. We need to make sure it gets down to the authors, and it sounds like the judge is uncertain that will happen, and so he's putting it on hold. Good. That's probably the best possible reason to put this on hold, so I'm 100% with him here, and it'd be interesting to see how this unravels. Awesome.